The short workshop I'm running is called For the Culture of Change, Why Transformations Don't Scale, People Do. And the inspiration behind it, similar to the masterclass that I'm running, is the book that Marcus Collins wrote called For the Culture, The Power Behind the World's Most Successful Brands, from Apple to Beyonce. And it's really thinking about how you can use the power of number, the power of mass in organizations and in customers, et cetera, to really drive the change towards what we need people to adopt, to buy, to have an affinity with, and driving scale through the subcultures that exist, within whether they're customer groups or organizational teams or, whatever. There's lots of subcultures within an overarching culture. So it's using those subcultures to really drive change at scale. So for this workshop in particular, we're going to look at neuroscience, so explaining the why, so an understanding of, the brain's social circuitry, belonging, safety, status, that sort of stuff, and use it to look at uptake and drive rational arguments to move towards something. We'll think of this concept of called, I'm going to call them change memes, but in a way, not necessarily like the memes from the internet, but that type of concept, short, emotionally charged. How do you identify, sorry, how do you reinforce identity, I should say, through artifacts and use that to kind of organically spread change through teams? And then use the concept of mini case studies to help drive culture shifts, engineer culture shifts in an organization in a neuro-based way that's ritual driven, agile at its heart, and using kind of the virality that comes from subculture and cues of subculture and things like that. So takeaways are going to be just some basic understandings of, what that human brain is. I might give you a tool or two to help you design those change memes, let's call them. And then be able to apply that through a storytelling way in a case study. So if you needed to explain it to somebody else, you can do it in a really practical way. I think this session is applicable to anybody. So you don't need to be super experienced. You don't need to be a neuroscience geek. You can just have an interest in, human nature and belonging and the way you drive change. Or even if you don't yet understand it and you just want to understand more about yourself or why you're experiencing maybe resistance in an organization or something like that, this will absolutely resonate with you, but it's kind of open to anybody. I would say you don't have to be experienced. You could be an absolute newbie to this space and it's going to resonate. And if you are super experienced, you'll definitely come away with, more hints and tips and tricks up your sleeve to help you, do agile change better for sure.